So Apple just got caught. Not caught doing something bad, caught doing something very Apple, quietly admitting a feature they hyped 2 years ago kind of annoyed everyone, and fixing it in the most Apple way possible by making it simpler and calling it a refinement. But that's not even the most interesting thing happening with the iPhone 18 Pro right now, because the leaks dropping this week paint a picture of a phone that is genuinely shaping up to be one of the more compelling upgrade cycles in a few years. Not because everything changed, almost nothing changed visually. And yet, the stuff that did change changes how you actually use the phone every single day. There's also a release calendar situation that Apple is doing this year that is genuinely weird. And if you're planning to upgrade in the fall, you need to know about it, because depending on which iPhone you're after, you might be waiting until 2027. Let's get into all of it. We're in April 2026. The iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max are confirmed for a fall September launch, and the leaks right now are coming hard and fast. From the usual suspects, Ming Chi Kuo, Mark Gurman at Bloomberg, and several Weibo-based supply chain sources. Some of it's solid, some of it will age badly. I'll tell you which is which as we go. What I'm covering today: design, the camera changes, the tip, including that camera control story, the chip, the new modem, the dynamic island situation, the color options, and the very strange way Apple is splitting its lineup this year. And there's one thing buried in these leaks that nobody's really talking about that I think is actually the most important story here. Okay, design first. The iPhone 18 Pro models are expected to feature the same general design as the iPhone 17 Pro models, same triple lens camera system, same camera plateau. So if you were hoping for a total redesign, that is not happening. But here's why that's not actually a bad thing. The iPhone 17 generation was the redesign year. Slimmer chassis, moved button layout, repositioned elements. They did the work. Many rumors describe the iPhone 18 Pro as an S-year style update, evolutionary rather than revolutionary, focusing on refining existing strengths, which, if you're coming from an iPhone 15 Pro or older, feels like a completely different phone anyway. What is changing on the outside? The dynamic island is expected to be 35% narrower than the iPhone 17 dynamic island, shrinking to around 13.5 millimeters, down from 20.7 millimeters. That's not a small thing. That's a third of it gone, and how they're doing it is interesting. Face ID's flood illuminator is being moved under the screen on the iPhone 18 Pro models, paving the way for the smaller dynamic island. Not full under-display Face ID. It was initially reported the Pro models would have fully under-screen Face ID with only a front camera visible, but the latest rumors indicate only one component is moving under the screen, resulting in merely a smaller dynamic island. Merely, love that word, merely 35% smaller, and colors. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports Apple has tested a deep red finish for the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max. Dark, rich, premium, not product red. Think burgundy with confidence. Other colors under testing include coffee, brown, and deep purple, though Apple may finalize only a limited number for the final lineup. Oh, and Apple's next generation premium iPhones still won't come in black in 2026, second year running. Make that make sense, right? This is the camera control thing. And I want to explain why this is actually a bigger story than it looks. The camera control button was introduced with the iPhone 16 series and received mixed reactions. The button's capacitive slider lets users adjust zoom, exposure, photographic styles, and more. But this specific feature has been notable for some, yet overwhelming for others. Translation: people were accidentally swiping on it constantly. Right now, you can accidentally swipe on the camera control button without meaning to. Many users say this happens often, especially when holding the phone one-handed. So, what's Apple doing about it? Rumor has it, Apple plans to give the iPhone 18 a simplified camera control button, dropping capacitive features while keeping pressure sensitivity. Apple will retain the pressure sensitivity feature, but the swipeable touch surface on the button would reportedly be removed alongside the gesture-based controls. So Apple introduced a button. It was too complicated. People hated it. Apple is now making it simpler, and they're going to sell you this as a feature. And honestly, they're right to. By focusing on core actions instead of layered gestures, Apple could make the feature more consistent across everyday use. With swipe gestures removed, you would press the button intentionally and nothing more. That's actually better. That's a button that works. The lesson here, Apple has been quietly acknowledging this didn't land the way they hoped. Apple already started adjusting how camera control works. In iOS 18.2, they added a require screen on option, and during new iPhone setup, swipe gestures are now turned off by default. That's not a bug fix. That's a company going, yeah, okay, we heard you. And now it's becoming hardware. Okay, now the thing that is genuinely new and genuinely exciting, there are rumors of a notable camera change. The iPhone 18 Pro models are set to gain a variable aperture lens for the main camera, which would let users manually adjust how much light reaches the sensor. Here's why that matters. Every iPhone ever made has had a fixed aperture. The camera is set at one opening, and that's it. Software does the rest. A variable aperture would make the camera able to adjust the amount of light that enters the sensor based on lighting conditions. It can get more light in dark environments or close in lighter environments to prevent overexposure. It would also allow you to control depth of field, how blurred the background of a portrait photo is. That's a DSLR level control in your pocket on a phone that most people also use to check their group chats at 11 p.m. The 48 megapixel main fusion camera would be the one getting this. Rumors also point to a new stacked image sensor from Samsung, potentially improving dynamic range and reducing noise. Now, important caveat. Given that iPhones have smaller image sensors due to smartphone size constraints, it's unclear exactly how meaningful this improvement will be in practice. The physics don't lie. But paired with Apple's computational photography engine, this could be the kind of thing where the output difference is visible to normal people taking normal photos, not just reviewers with charts. Apple's next generation A20 Pro chip is expected to use TSMC's first generation 2 nanometer process compared to the A19 Pro's 3 nanometer process, and with a new packaging design, should deliver solid year-over-year performance and power efficiency gains. What does that mean for you? The chip is faster, but more importantly, it's more efficient. That gap between 3 nanometer and 2 nanometer is where battery life improvements quietly live. And the modem situation is genuinely exciting and genuinely underreported. Apple's custom C1 cellular modem debuted in the iPhone 16e, followed by the C1X in the iPhone Air, which Apple says is up to twice as fast as the C1 and the most power-efficient modem in an iPhone ever. The iPhone 18 Pro gets the next step, the C2. Apple's C2 modem could add support for 5G satellite connectivity, using a standard that covers both direct phone-to-satellite links and satellite backhaul for carrier networks, potentially allowing full internet access over satellite when standard networks are unavailable. Internet via satellite on your phone, not just emergency SOS, actual browsing. The Pro Max will have a bigger battery, rumored at 5,100 to 5,200 milliamp hours, with additional efficiency improvements from the 2 nanometer A20 Pro chip. That combination of a more efficient chip and a larger battery could genuinely push multi-day battery life for most users. Here's the weird one. And if you're planning an upgrade this fall, pay attention. Apple is splitting the iPhone 18 lineup. the more expensive Pro and Fold models launching in fall 2026, and the more affordable iPhone 18 and 18e coming in spring 2027. Read that again. The iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max launch in fall 2026, as usual, alongside the new foldable iPhone, but the more affordable models won't come out until spring 2027. Customers who want to upgrade during the standard fall timeline will need to opt for one of the more expensive models. So Apple is essentially telling anyone who buys the standard iPhone, wait 6 more months. And the iPhone Air 2 situation is genuinely messy. Reporting from The Information said iPhone Air 2 was being pushed until at least spring 2027, reportedly to add a second rear camera. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman agreed with the spring 2027 timing, but was skeptical that a second camera would even be added. Meanwhile, leaker Fixed Focus Digital has claimed on 2 previous occasions that iPhone Air 2 will launch this fall alongside iPhone 18 Pro, and characterizes it as a routine upgrade with no big changes like a second camera. Credible sources, completely opposite conclusions. The question of when the Air 2 actually arrives is genuinely unresolved, making it roughly an even split between fall 2026 and early 2027 based on available information. And we also get the iPhone Fold this fall, Apple's 3 most expensive iPhones at once, with the Fold potentially upwards of $2,000. So the fall 2026 Apple event is going to be the most expensive Apple event in history in terms of what they're asking you to spend. So here's the honest take on the iPhone 18 Pro right now. This is not a revolutionary phone. The design is familiar. The form factor is the same. But the internal upgrades, the A20 Pro at 2 nanometers, the C2 modem, the variable aperture camera, the actually usable camera control, the smaller dynamic island, the battery, those are meaningful changes stacked on top of each other. For consumers still on iPhone 15 Pro or older models, the rumored upgrades, particularly camera flexibility, battery improvements, and the refined front display, could represent one of the more compelling upgrade cycles in recent years. If you're on a 17 Pro, probably skip this one. If you're on anything older, this fall makes a real argument. Pricing is expected to hold steady, with the iPhone 18 Pro starting around $1,099 and the Pro Max at $1,199. So at least your wallet isn't taking an additional hit on top of the features. The one thing I'm most curious about is the variable aperture in real-world conditions, not in a controlled test, not on a chart. Does it change how photos feel? That's the thing I want to get in my hands and actually test. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in September. I want to know, are you planning to upgrade this fall, or are you waiting for the standard iPhone 18 in spring? Drop it in the comments. Because based on how Apple split this lineup, this is genuinely a more complicated question than usual. See you next one. Peace.